The sea wind bites against Ariel Tanaka's skin as she stands before the driftwood urn, cradling her 8-year-old son's ashes. A low mist rolls over the cliffside chapel overlooking Monterey Bay, but Ariel feels nothing, only the strange hollowness that has settled in her chest since the moment Kai took his final breath. Mourners murmur behind her, their voices muffled by grief and guilt, but one voice is missing, Marcus's. Her husband, Dr. Marcus Tanaka, should be here, gripping her hand, honoring the child he once promised to protect. Instead, he's nearly 10,000 miles away. Her phone buzzes in her purse. She ignores it at first, but something compels her to look. A photo opens on the screen. Marcus, tan, shirt unbuttoned, grinning, cocktail in hand, his arm wrapped around a young woman in a bikini. The caption reads, "Thought you should know where your husband really is today. A concerned friend." Ariel's breath catches. Her knees nearly buckle. Only her mother's steady grip on her elbow keeps her upright. Around her, eyes shift, whispers rise like wind across seagrass. Small-town silence never lasts long, especially when the town's most beloved marine biologist is humiliated at her own child's funeral. The officiant clears his throat. "Mrs. Tanaka, are you ready?" She should be, but nothing about this is right. Her son should be running along the tide pools, not being mourned. Her husband should be beside her, not lounging on a tropical beach. And yet, as Arielle slowly steps forward to say her final goodbye, something shifts inside her. Not the soft grief she's been living with, but something colder, sharper. Not a tear falls, not yet. She's no longer just a grieving mother. She's a woman with nothing left to lose, and a storm is building inside her. The house is too quiet, too clean. Arielle slips off her shoes by the door, the scent of lilies still clinging to her dress from the memorial. Kai's room remains untouched, his sketchpad open on the desk, the corner of his favorite blanket peeking from beneath the bed. But the master bedroom tells another story. Marcus's side of the closet is nearly empty. His journals, his prized scuba gear, even the framed photo of the three of them taken on Kai's 6th birthday, all gone. She'd assumed he left things at the university lab or needed space while traveling for work, but now it's undeniable. Marcus didn't just miss the funeral. He never intended to come back. On the kitchen counter, she finds a note written in his looping, pretentious handwriting. "Running late. Bali lecture series extended. Will call soon. Love you." Arielle laughs, a short, bitter sound. The nerve of it, no mention of Kai. No apology, just another hollow excuse. Her phone buzzes again, this time a direct message on social media from an anonymous account. "He said he'd be gone a week. That was a month ago. Ask him what phase 2 means." Attached is a blurry screenshot of an email with Marcus's signature and a subject line that makes Arielle's blood run cold. Property consolidation timeline. Urgent. The cracks are no longer metaphorical. They're widening into chasms, revealing a truth she hadn't dared consider before. That while she was holding her son's hand through every chemo session, Marcus was laying the groundwork for something else. Something selfish, something sinister. Arielle closes the message, walks to the sink, and grips the counter until her knuckles whiten. The man who swore to protect their family is systematically dismantling it, and she's just getting started in finding out why. The clinking of teacups and the low murmur of polite condolences fill Arielle's grandmother's sunroom, now uncomfortably crowded with mourners trying too hard to act normal. The scent of homemade mochi and incense wafts through the air, but Arielle can barely taste or smell anything. She moves on autopilot, accepting handshakes and nods, until a voice she dreads cuts through the room like a jagged blade. "Arielle, dear," says Vivian Tanaka, her mother-in-law, appearing beside her with a tight-lipped smile and a plate of untouched pastries. "You mustn't be too hard on Marcus. Everyone grieves in their own way." Arielle stiffens, her hand still on the teapot. "Is abandonment the latest grief stage?" she replies coolly. Vivian's smile falters, but only briefly. "It's been difficult for him, losing Kai. He needed space." Arielle doesn't respond, but her mother June does, stepping in like a protective wave breaking on the shore. Funny how that space looks a lot like Bali and smells like someone half his age. Vivian's eyes narrow, but she regains her composure quickly. Well, some people manage pain with logic. Marcus always was the planner. Her voice is sugar-coated, but there's a warning underneath. Then, with a faux casual tone, she adds, I do hope this doesn't complicate discussions around the Haruto property. Your father hasn't been well, and Marcus has been trying to help with the legal side of things. That's when Arielle freezes. The property passed down from her grandfather was never meant to be touched. Her father, Haruto, may be forgetting names, but his connection to the home is deep-rooted. The implication is clear. Marcus has been using Haruto's condition to maneuver behind her back. A bitter realization blooms in Arielle's chest. This isn't just grief, it's war disguised as condolence. The home office still smells like cedar and printer ink, though most of Marcus's belongings have vanished, except for a scattered mess of papers left carelessly on the desk. Arielle steps in, heart pounding, drawn by the chaos that shouldn't exist in a space Marcus always kept meticulously ordered. Amid invoices and lab grant proposals, she finds it, a manila folder with Kai's name scrawled across the tab in black ink. Her hands tremble as she opens it. Inside are life insurance documents, pages she's never seen before. The policy was altered 5 months ago, just after Kai's condition worsened. Originally, both parents were listed as co-beneficiaries. Now, only Marcus remains. Her name has been neatly crossed out. The amount, $3,200,000. Her mouth goes dry. Tucked between the pages is a yellow post-it note with one line of rushed handwriting. Finalize with Sierra. No forget, notarization. Arielle drops into the desk chair, the edges of the paper cutting into her fingers as if trying to bring her back to reality. Sierra, the research assistant, the woman in the photo. Arielle had assumed the betrayal was personal, emotional, lust, escape. But this was planned, financial, strategic, a transactional erasure of her existence as a mother. Every late-night hospital shift she took, every comfort she offered Kai while Marcus stayed late at the lab, was cover for this. She pulls out her phone and snaps photos of every page. If Marcus thought she was too grief-stricken to notice his deception, he was mistaken. This wasn't about closure anymore. It was about defense. Arielle stands, her grief transforming once again. The man she married didn't just walk away. He positioned himself to profit from their son's death. And now, she's going to make him pay for every signature, every lie, every cent. The beach cafe on Monterey's Cannery Row is nearly empty when Arielle arrives. The salty breeze curling around her as she spots Sierra Blake seated at a corner table, sunglasses on, stirring her drink with slow, deliberate movements. She doesn't stand when Arielle approaches, just lifts her chin and gestures to the seat across. I figured you'd come, Sierra says flatly. Up close, she looks less like the carefree girl in the Bali photo and more like a woman unraveling. Designer handbag, yes, but shadows beneath her eyes and a tension that says she's no longer in control. I'm not here to trade insults, Arielle says, voice clipped. Then you'll want to hear this. Sierra unlocks her phone and places it on the table. Messages appear, hundreds of them. Marcus promising a new life, a shared future, exotic homes, once the money clears, photos of wire transfers, mentions of Phase 2, property consolidation, and shockingly, leveraging Haruto's decline. Arielle's stomach twists. Sierra meets her gaze. He told me you knew, that you agreed to move on, divide everything quietly. Her lips curl bitterly. He lied to both of us. Arielle's fingers tighten around her glass. Why are you showing me this? Sierra hesitates, then shrugs. Because he stopped returning my calls the moment your son's ashes were buried. Because the policy he promised to split with me, he's hiding it. And because I think I'm next. There's no remorse in her voice, just exhaustion. I'm not the villain here. I was just another move in his game. Ariel studies the younger woman, the glitter of resentment in her eyes. Sierra may have helped destroy her marriage, but now she might be the key to destroying Marcus's empire. Good, Ariel says quietly. Then let's play a different game, one we win together. The sun filters gently through the old sliding glass doors of Ariel's childhood living room, casting golden light across the floor where her father, Haruto Avery, sits in his favorite armchair, absently rubbing the worn wood of the armrest. In his lap rests one of Kai's old marine biology books, though he doesn't seem to notice it's upside down. Dad, Ariel says softly, kneeling beside him. Can we talk? He blinks, looking at her with a fleeting moment of clarity. You look just like your mother when she's about to pick a fight with a banker, he murmurs, a faint smile on his lips. It nearly breaks her. Do you remember a visit from Marcus? She asks gently. He said something about helping with the property paperwork? Haruto's brow furrows. He looks away toward the window where sea foam crashes against the distant cliffs. Yes. With papers. Said we needed to protect the house in case of medical debts. Ariel leans in, heart racing. Did you sign anything? He shakes his head. No. It smelled wrong. Like that time the power box buzzed, but nobody could hear it but me. I didn't like the way he smiled. His voice grows quieter. I told him to come back when your mother was home. He never did. Ariel exhales, relief and fury warring in her chest. Her father, even in his declining state, had sensed the deception, had held the line. You protected us, Dad, she whispers, touching his hand. He squeezes her fingers with surprising strength. That house, your grandfather built it for you, not for them. His voice trails off, the moment slips away, but the truth remains. Marcus didn't just lie. He tried to steal from a man losing his mind, and that, Ariella decides, will be his undoing. Ariel leans over the long oak table in her cousin Elliot's office, a small law firm nestled in the heart of Carmel by the Sea. Stacks of documents cover every inch. Property records, bank statements, legal forms bearing her father's name, some legitimate, others forged. Elliot flips through them with surgical focus, his brow creased in disbelief. He's been moving your joint assets for months, he mutters, claiming medical urgency due to Kai's care. He used hospital records as justification to expedite property transfers. Ariel's jaw tightens. I was sitting next to Kai, holding his hand through chemo, and Marcus was filing emergency sales paperwork. Her mother, June, seated nearby with her reading glasses halfway down her nose, slides forward a notarized document. This one's key, she says, had filed it the day after your father's worst episode. He tried to have guardianship of Haruto transferred to Vivian, quietly. Ariel stares at the signature line. Her father's name, shaky, faint, but forged. And no one noticed, Elliot nods grimly. They buried it in a stack of routine hospice paperwork. But here's the catch. Your father's actual power of attorney wasn't revoked. He couldn't make it legal. June lifts her gaze. We can fight this, but we'll need more than paper. We need a confrontation, witnesses, leverage. Ariel pulls out the thumb drive Sierra gave her. I think I've got that too. She plugs it into Elliot's laptop. Screenshots of text chains, wire transfers to offshore accounts, and voice memos between Marcus and Vivian fill the screen. Then the smoking gun, an audio file of Marcus coaching Sierra on what to say if questioned. That's our opening move, Elliot says, a grin forming. Ariel doesn't smile back. No, she says, that's just the invitation. The real game starts when they realize I've stopped playing by their rule. The conference room is glass-walled and cold, overlooking the Monterey Marina, where sailboats drift peacefully, mocking the storm building inside. Marcus Tanaka sits confidently at the head of the polished table, flanked by his parents, Vivian and David, each with a stack of documents in front of them. Let's make this quick, Marcus says smoothly, sliding a contract toward Ariel. It's in everyone's best interest to finalize the property transfers today, for Kai's memory. The audacity of invoking their son's name turns Ariel's stomach. She doesn't reach for the papers. Instead, she reaches into her bag and removes a small USB drive. "Actually, I brought something too," she says, plugging it into the lawyer's laptop. The screen flickers to life. Texts between Marcus and Sierra about laundering the life insurance payout, voice recordings of Vivian coaching Sierra on how to distract Ariel, and screenshots of forged emails tied to Haruto's property. Marcus's smirk fades. "What is this?" he growls. "Proof," Ariel replies, standing taller, "of fraud, manipulation, and a betrayal that started long before our son died." Vivian snaps shut her folder, fury etched into her tight expression. "You're bluffing. This isn't admissible." The door swings open. Sierra Blake enters, phone in hand, recording everything. "Try me," she says. Elliot and June follow close behind, arms full of hard copies, paper trails of every illicit transfer. "This is over," Ariel says. But Marcus doesn't flinch. He pulls out another folder and tosses it across the table. Inside are bank statements implicating Elliot in shady financial dealings. Falsified but damaging. "You go public with that drive," Marcus sneers, "and I burn your whole family down with me." For a heartbeat, silence reigns. Then Ariel speaks, voice steady. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life. You think this is a war of documents? You haven't seen what a mother can do when you come for her family." By the time the sun rises over Monterey Bay the next morning, the wheels of justice are already in motion. Elliot meets Ariel at her flower shop, bloom and tied, a thick envelope in hand. "It worked," he says, a rare grin breaking across his face. The FBI received the digital files last night, along with Sierra's sworn affidavit. They moved fast. Hours later, news breaks. Dr. Marcus Tanaka, Vivian, and David Tanaka are facing charges ranging from insurance fraud and elder exploitation to financial coercion and forgery. Their bank accounts are frozen, their reputations shattered. Ariel watches it all unfold from her mother's kitchen, surrounded by the people who never left her side. Sierra, standing quietly near the window, clutches a travel bag. "I'm heading out," she says, "leaving town for a while." Ariel nods. "Thank you for everything." Sierra's voice is almost a whisper. Some victories don't feel like winning. They feel like escape. When she's gone, Ariel turns to her mother and Elliot. "The trust fund?" June answers with a proud gleam in her eye. "Protected, legally moved into Kai's name with a portion already donated to the Pacific Wildlife Center in his memory." Ariel exhales for the first time in what feels like months. Her father's home, their family legacy, is safe. The documents Marcus manipulated? Voided. The guardianship scheme? Exposed. And the $3.2 million Marcus intended to steal? Now frozen, soon to be redirected as restitution. Ariel steps outside and breathes in the salt air. Not quite peace, but something like it. She didn't just fight for revenge. She fought to honor Kai, to shield the truth and to reclaim what was hers. Marcus underestimated her grief. What he never understood is that grief in a mother's hands becomes a weapon sharper than any signature. The tide pools glisten under the soft light of dawn, and the air carries the briny tang of kelp and salt. Ariel kneels by the rocks, carefully placing a small, hand-painted stone shaped like a starfish beside Kai's favorite tide pool, a secret spot he used to call the Mermaid's Mirror. The stone is etched with a single word, brave. Beside her, Haruto watches silently, a clarity in his eyes she hasn't seen in weeks. "I would have loved this morning," he murmurs, the breeze tugging gently at his jacket. Ariel nods, her throat tight. He's everywhere now, in the waves, in the wind. They stand together for a long time, not needing words. When they finally turn to leave, a monarch butterfly flutters past them, its wings catching the light like stained glass. Haruto reaches for it, but Ariel gently stops his hand. "Let it be," she says. It's his way of saying he's okay. Back at the house, Ariel finds a letter from Sierra waiting in the mailbox. No return address, just a simple note. You were never the weak one. You were the storm they didn't see coming. Ariel folds it carefully and tucks it into her journal. The lawsuits are still pending, and the media continues to circle like gulls. But the fear is gone. What remains now is purpose. Kai's trust will fund marine rescue programs and scholarships for young scientists. Tide has reopened, thriving with the help of volunteers inspired by her story. Her grief hasn't disappeared. It's become something quieter, something sacred. As she walks along the beach with her father, hand in hand, the sky above them begins to clear. Some storms don't break you. They carve you into something stronger. And Arielle? She's finally come home. This story reminds us that grief, while devastating, can also reveal untapped strength. Arielle's journey shows that love doesn't end with loss. It transforms, becoming the very force that fuels justice and healing. In the face of betrayal, manipulation, and overwhelming sorrow, she refused to be broken. Instead, she reclaimed her power, protected her family's legacy, and honored her son in a way that mattered. The lesson is clear. Resilience isn't about forgetting pain. It's about rising through it. When truth becomes your compass and love your armor, even the deepest wounds can lead to purpose, peace, and renewal.